All right, you moderate maniacs, here are 8 investments to stay far away from when you're retired. You could do these things when you're younger, but the whole basis for this video is that when you're retired, you've already won the race. There's no need to add extra risk into your investments after you've retired. You've won the race, guys. There's no need to push for that additional potential income that could come in with riskier investments. Don't do it. It's just not worth it. So here's number 1. Investing in startup companies. Yeah, some of you are saying, this is a channel for retiring on moderate income. Investing in startups? Come on. You can do that. You can do that with smaller amounts if you get into an investment group that invests in startups, okay? I highly caution you for that. The chances for these startups to actually hit and become something big, it's very small. Unless you have an overwhelming amount of money that's just burning a hole in your pocket, don't do this, guys. I know it could be tempting. You could be onto the next Amazon, the next Apple. On a moderate retirement income, don't even think about it, okay? Some of these 8 points I'm giving you, you can do in moderation, very small amounts. Here, I would just stay as far away as possible, okay? Number 2, flipping real estate. You know, actually in the last couple of years, that's kind of gone down a little bit, you know, just with the environment of real estate, interest rates, etc. But people are still trying to do it. That is a young man and a young woman's investment, okay? A lot of effort that goes into that. There's a good chance that you could be sitting on these houses you want to flip for a lot longer than you want to. You could have invested a lot of money to flip these houses, right? A lot of people just sit on them because they can't flip them in the current environment. Real estate goes like this. Hey, if it's in an up market, up period, you're doing good, right? A lot of times it's not. A lot of times you are stuck with that additional investment you made on these flip houses, and they're just sitting there. Now, if you want to invest in real estate, do something like a REIT. You know, that can be invested in your normal portfolio. Invest in REITs. Small percentage, diversification, it's a good thing to do. But to try and flip houses, now, if you own a couple of rentals, good for you. That's a great place to be. But flipping houses in, say, your 60s, yeah, I wouldn't recommend that at all. Hey, for those of you who see me for the first time, my name is Duane. This is a channel for retiring on moderate income. If you think you might like that, think about subscribing and like the video as well. Also, to my regular viewers, leave me some comments. Are there some things that you have invested in retirement and maybe a year or two down the line you're like, yeah, that was a big mistake? Leave me comments on that, okay? Here's number 3. You don't want to be investing in a lot of individual stocks. Look at my neck, man. I'm just noticing this in my camera. Gobble, 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 gobble. I'm a turkey. That's what happens to men in old age. Look at this. We turn into like poultry. Number 3, you don't want to invest in a lot of just individual stocks, okay? And when I'm talking about individual stocks, I'm talking about some people who'll just take a flyer on something they heard some good information about on MSNBC, wherever. And they take a relatively large percentage of the portfolio because Jim Cramer said to invest in it, and they'll put it into that. If you want to do this, keep it very, very small amount of your portfolio. That's the last thing you want to do, is just to say, okay, I'm taking $30,000 or $70,000, put it on this one stock because this guy said it was a really good stock. Now, I know most of you are probably too smart, too savvy to do that, but it always happens. Be very careful with that, guys, very careful. If you want to take a small amount, hey, you heard some good things about this company coming up, and you want to take a little tiny amount and put it into that, fine. Just don't have a lot of them, and don't invest a lot into it. Whoa, it's getting breezy out here. It's really hot today in the high desert, but it's high winds too. I hope you can hear me. Number 4, and this goes along with number 3. You ever get tips from friends about, hey, have you heard about this stock? No one knows about it yet. I'm going all in. Yeah, stay far away from that. 3 and 4 kind of go together. Be very careful that your friends have this can't miss stock. People fall for it all the time because they value their friends' advice. Hey, they might have given them 10 tips in the past that 8 of them did really well. But do you want to be in that situation where they're saying, let's go all in? Again, you've retired. You've won the race. It's all about preservation of capital now. You want to preserve what you have while still having your money work for you. Don't get too risky. Please don't get too risky with this, okay? 3 and 4 go together. Number 5, investing in collectibles. What are collectibles? Stuff like jewelry, timepieces, watches, fine wine. Again, you can do this in moderation, very small amount. And one good thing about maybe taking a very small amount and investing in, say, a very expensive watch. I wouldn't do it. Maybe it's something you might want to do. It keeps things exciting, doesn't it? Instead of looking at your index funds all day long. Okay, there's no fun in this, right? There's no fun. Yeah, it keeps things kind of exciting. So if you want to take a very small amount and do it, but if you're thinking about a substantial part of your retirement, and again, I know you guys probably would never consider this, but some people might. That's why it needs to be said. Don't invest it in a collectible. I mean, you talk about a volatile market, woo, right? You could lose everything. Number 6, this is something I've never done, but I've heard horror stories. If you want to go in an investment with a partner, could be a good friend of yours, right? You could have known him for 20 years, but you know what? Money changes a lot of people, guys. It can change a lot of people. I would never, this is just me again, I would never go into an investment with a good friend, or God forbid, a family member, okay? We're talking about investing in like something, I don't know, something in the stock market, something along that area. Even buying a house with a friend or a family member, maybe a family member if you want to keep it in the family, but a friend purchasing property, that can go wrong real fast. Number 1, you lose a friend. Number 2, you lose your investment. I would highly caution against investing with friends and sometimes family. Number 7, last thing you want to do when you're in retirement, you should be, if not totally risk adverse, at least somewhat risk averse for your portfolio. You don't want to go all in on stocks. Now, some of the people watching this channel, I've seen comments on here saying they're 90% stock, 85, and they're 70. Okay, if you have that kind of risk tolerance, good for you. Hope it turns out well. Sometimes it doesn't. I don't have anything near that kind of tolerance. Right now, I'm about 60-40 stocks to bonds. The older I get, the more conservative I'm going to get. Not too much more conservative than 60%, but I am definitely not going to go up to like 70. So one of the worst investments, in my opinion, that you can have when you're retired is to be way too heavy in stocks, okay? You don't want to do that. And what are my ravens doing back there? Are they hovering? They're spying on me again. You don't want to be too heavy in stocks, guys. You want to just diversify. Diversify as much as you can so you can handle the ups and the downs of the market. That's the way to go, especially in retirement. And number 8, and I'm sure all of you have heard about horror stories on this, and some of you might have even done this. I'll bet you a significant portion of my viewers have done this. Timeshares. You talk about, horror stories over the last 10, 15 years of that, right? I don't think too many people can go into that with their eyes wide open and say, yes, I'm going to do a timeshare. There are so many problems. It's like there's a lot of charges. It might be tough to get the dates that you want to stay there. And at the end of it, sometimes they're really difficult to sell when you're finally through with it. You know, if you're every summer you want to spend 3 weeks in, I don't know, the beaches of South Carolina, you got a timeshare, or Costa Rica or whatever. Depending on how many people are in that timeshare, it might be tough to get the weeks you want, right? But that's just a small part of it. There are a lot of charges that come with timeshares. When you try and sell timeshares, there are different caveats you have to be aware of. So that's an obvious one. That's why I put it last, because most of you probably know about that, right? So there you go, guys. The bottom line in retirement is preservation of capital. You still want it to work for you, so you still want significant amount in stocks, not way up there. So you got to have your money work for you, but it's preservation of capital. Don't do any of those 8. If you do a very small amount in some of them, okay? As always, guys, we got this from the beautiful high desert where I am sweating my butt off right now, but that's okay because I'm done.